All right, hello and welcome back to Mouthful of Marbles. I'm your host, Chasey the Goose Goose, and with me, David the Lake Lagas.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the big picture. So whereas in our last video we talked about the granular impacts, the results of the Greenston GP, today we're going to be talking about the overall standings of both the driver and team championships.
Yeah, so
in light of the results of all 5 Grand Prix.
Yeah, so let's pull that up now and let's have a nice little look. We have Rapidly, Starry, and Hazy in the top 3. And then the bottom, we have Vespa, Shock, and not shockingly, Mary. Now, we all know how we feel about Mary. So let's talk about the team primary dispute that we discussed in our last video, and just kind of bring that to light here.
Right. Well, of course, we also have to take into account here that the top 3 here have raced 3 races, and the bottom 3, other than Mary, have only raced 2 races. So we can sort of see the outlier that is Mary there, and we can obviously see in the analytics, we can even see the biggest difference in average position and in qualifying position between Prim and Mary. By far the widest gap in both categories.
It's not even close.
Really
I mean, if you're qualifying in 10 different position differences and 12 your finishing position, it's just it's not great.
And you're being generous there by rounding down.
Yeah,
but we also have to keep in mind here, Prim, I would argue, is actually the favorite for the Drivers' Championship at this point. Prim's in 5th, only 6 points down on Rapidly with 1 fewer race.
Yeah.
So at this point, it might be harsh to compare Mary to Prim, but at the same time, if you look at the constructor, they're made out of the same material, right? These are the same marbles. They ought to be identical in their capabilities, but Prim is racing far better, taking better lines.
Oh yeah, he definitely understands his tracks more than Mary seems to be able to understand hers.
I mean, if we want to be really generous to Mary, I guess you could make the argument that perhaps the circuits that Mary has raced on so far have been less favorable to the style of marble of Team Primary, but I don't think that justifies the kind of gap we're seeing.
Yeah, you would think the team would make some kind of adjustments, but it just doesn't seem like they've made the right ones with Mary, or maybe it's just strictly that Prim is just a better marble, or he's just a better racer.
Right.
It's entirely possible. But going along with that, though, Billy and your boy Smoggy are both up there pretty high in the top 10 with only 2 races under the belt. So, I mean, Smoggy with a 3.5 average qualifying is pretty
the best qualifier in the field at this point.
It's pretty good. So why don't you talk about your boy Smoggy and how you think you should have gotten the last race anyways and all that kind of stuff? Like, what do you think?
Right, of course. We've already gone over this. I do think Smoggy would have been a better choice for the Greenston GP. I'm not sure if we're going to see Smoggy on the short circuit. Hopefully not, actually. I'd like to see Hazy there. I think it's a better track for Hazy. But, Smoggy's been consistent so far this season. Small sample size, only 2 races.
Yep.
But I think Smoggy can perform regardless of the track at this point. I think Smoggy's obviously in contention for the Drivers' Championship along with Prim and Billy, Rapidly, Starry, and even Hazy. Hazy's still there, absolutely, in 3rd right now. Hazy has a chance. There's plenty of marbles still in this Drivers' Championship. It's a very tight pack. I mean, between 1 and 10th, there's 11 points. So, anything could happen at this point.
Well, it is very tight, and I believe that Rapidly, Starry, Hazy, I think Yellup even, all raced last race.
Right.
Origin raced last race and won, so that he's going to have some inflated numbers with that victory and the 3rd place finish.
Absolutely.
And Bolt also. So really, it really looks like Prim, Smoggy, and Billy have the best chance this week, assuming that they race. They will have the best chance at taking over the 1, 2, 3 spots, because I don't think those other races will race since they had just done so last week at Greenston.
Right. And getting into that, I mean, between the Drivers and Teams Championships, we've seen a considerable rivalry so far this season between Team Galactic and the Hazers. I mean, even if you go back all the way to the first Grand Prix, they were back and forth. Hazy and I believe it was Starry were really back and forth in that first GP, and that's really how it's worked out. That was really emblematic of the entire season, as it turns out, because right now the Hazers are up by 1 point on Team Galactic going into the 6th Grand Prix of the season with only 3 to go. So it's a tight race between those two. Obviously, we have the Orangers and who else is in third right now, I believe.
Orangers, the Savage Speeders are in
The Savage
third
Speeders,
right
of
now.
course. How could I forget?
Yeah. Well, obviously, with
Iconic.
Rapidly up there, 2 second place finishes in 3 races, which is just unheard of. It'll be very interesting to see if they can, or if he can keep that momentum up in his next race, because I mean, finishing second twice is almost unheard of, especially
incredible
especially
consistency.
this year. Yeah, very consistent.
But that third race, not quite as good. But that also goes into what we've seen from Waspy so far, because Waspy has actually performed very well, especially in qualifying. The second best qualifier this season, second only to Smoggy, yet all the way back in 13th, mostly because of that error he had trying to get on the conveyor belt.
And that was a big error too. That was our first safety marble of the year, the only one that we've had. But there was multiple racers. I think I don't think it was Bolt, but the other I think it was Shock actually, who had also a tumble on the conveyor belt in that race as well. But yeah, it was very disappointing for Waspy. He had pole position, fell all the way back, and lost. And he was doing well too. He was doing well in the race. He was not very far behind. I think he was in like second or third, somewhere in there, when he did fall off all the way back and then got stuck. Had to get relieved, but it's so the fact that, like, as you can see on the screen here, he is only minus biggest fall from start position, which seems bad, but the fact that he lost 15 in one race makes you think that, he's a pretty good racer overall, and and he was making up for it in other races.
Absolutely. Well, I think that concludes our video here talking about the greater implications of the Greenstone GP and all the GPs so far this season. We will do another video talking about more granular events and also looking forward to short circuits. So see you guys then.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys in the next video.